So hello and welcome to Santiago del Estero in Argentina for the UCI BMX Racing World Cup. It's round number 5 of 6 rounds. We are 1,042 kilometers north-northwest of Buenos Aires at 28 degrees latitude, and it is an absolutely scorching day in Santiago del Estero, a familiar track to many, a track where we see all sorts of incidents, but it is set in some of the most astounding settings. And it's an area where you can almost guarantee you're going to get great sunshine and great weather to race your BMX in. So I think probably we should do, first of all, is show you just a little bit of a flavour of what's in store for our riders in and around the track here in Santiago del Estero. Well, that's a real taster of what is out and around the track. I'm here with Rich Eames for round number 5. Rich, this is a track that you know well, and it's in a fantastic area to bring the World Cup to.
Yeah, it is. It's a fantastic facility here in Santiago del Estero. It's a kind of a place that we've been many, many times over the years, and the South American fans are so enthusiastic.
They are, and they've got some great weather. The wind speed just a little bit higher than the average. Average wind speed in the month of September normally about 11 kilometres an hour, up to 13, so basically not a huge amount. But it's sunny, it's 31 degrees, so hovering round about the average for this time of year. Highs can be 43, so we do expect that temperature to raise as the temperature goes up, but this is a great track to go race on. Let's take a little look at our track here in Santiago del Estero.
Hola a todos, soy Fede Villegas, estamos acá en Santiago del Estero para la Copa del Mundo de BMX Racing. Vamos a hacer el preview de la...
Well, I think we were going to hear from Federico Villegas, but I think he's just resting his legs prior to going racing. So, Rich, just take us through the track. It's one of the most iconic shots from the start gate right the way through the finish. And we were remarking earlier, as watching some of the earlier images, it's a really distinctive finish even when you get off the track.
Yeah, you kind of overlook it, and it's just such a really nice place to be and look at really good racing on a good track.
And usual full height 8 metre start ramp, we're going to go down, so from the gate you've got that same start. Is it one of the more technical tracks? It seems to me to just sort of have a little bit of everything, but you're the expert.
Yeah, it's certainly fast. It comes up to you at speed as you come off that 8 metre start hill. You know, there are tracks like Papendal that are more technical, but certainly this is one that'll just give us some amazing racing, especially in those turns. A lot of action due to come as we go through the racing today.
And when we get in towards that final strip, we have seen riders come through and celebrate some fantastic wins there, some real breakthrough wins. But we've also had riders coming through and have some real bad days at the office.
Yeah, I think the good ones outweigh the bad ones, the ones that immediately spring to mind, especially for the local fans here in Santiago del Estero. Gonzalo Molina in 2019 taking that win in front of the home supporters. They went absolutely wild. It was a great moment for Argentinian BMX.
It certainly was, but it's had its fair share of thrills and spills as well. We've had riders like Sylvain Andre having issues here in the past, and probably we'll go into that in a little bit more detail. This is where everybody wants to be through the finishing line, and 2/3 of the way into the season. Now we've got basically a third of the points up for grabs over the next 2 rounds, and this is going to be really, really important for the riders going in. They've set the foundation, but only a limited number of riders are going to be taking away big points here.
Yeah, it's going to be a few riders who'll take away those points and eventually take away those titles as well. The World Cup Championship up for grabs. Some riders are up for it, some riders aren't. but certainly it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out at the end of the weekend here in Santiago del Estero.
So 2 rounds if you're new to BMX racing. We have our standard BMX track. There are 2 formats to that track, one used by the men, one used by the women, basically on one of the straights. So that is essentially the same turns, the same start gate, the same finish, but we do find that the racing will be fast on here irrespective of which course it is. They're just different sections of jumps, aren't they, really?
Yeah, different sections of jumps on the 2 straights, and the turns are pretty much even. Obviously, if you're on the inside as you go into those turns, you've got to make moves that are a little bit more pronounced, but certainly as you go through the rhythm sections on that 3rd straight, it's an opportunity to make up some ground, get yourself into a position to make a move in that final corner and possibly take a win.
So the riders will be looking to take a win when we get into our finals. To get there, they've got to go through round 1, they've got to get through qualifying, they've got to go through 8 semis, quarters, semi-finals, right the way to that final, building and building, repeated effort time and time again, and that's really, really critical. The riders lining up now, they're getting ready to go for the men's under-23 8s finals. They have already been out and racing, and they've got to be ready to go the moment we start, and we're going to see some of the real bright talents in that under-23 race in the very first of our heats.
Yeah, the very first of the heats. We've got Jason Nordham in there. He's almost uncatchable in the standings, but it's going to be a tough day at the office for him. He's going to have to get involved and still have to do the work to take the win, but if there's anybody capable of doing that, it's Jason Nordham.
And we just saw Aguilera sit there, the Chilean rider, just on the top of the hill there as well. And some of these riders, it's their first race on the World Cup scene. There's a lot of riders, because it's a local race to them, will be coming out and putting their head above the parapet. That's always a nervous moment. Yeah,
there's certainly been some names on the sheets that I haven't recognised, riders out of Colombia, Argentina, Ecuador, in that under-23 category. And this is an ideal opportunity to just get in there, test their mettle at the World Cup level, work out where they need to be, and then they can go away, discuss it with the coaches afterwards, sort out the training that they need to do to bring themselves up to that level, but also to find out how it is racing against the likes of Jason Nordham and just how fast riders like him can be.
Well, we're going to see that very shortly indeed here at Santiago del Estero in Argentina, and this is going to be a very exciting race. So we start off, first of all, we're going to have our men's 8th finals in the under-23. We're going to move on to the men's elite quarterfinals. We're then going to follow that with the men's under-23 quarterfinals. So we have got basically 3 sets of races. Then there's a little bit of a break, and then we're going to be moving onwards from there into things like the under-23 semi-finals, and into the elite semi-finals, into the men's finals and the women's finals. And that tension builds, doesn't it? It's not just physical, it's not just the physical preparation, it's in the head as well.
Yeah, it definitely is a mental game, especially here at a track like Santiago del Estero, because you're dealing with really warm conditions and you've got to manage your body, you've got to keep yourself hydrated and not let yourself get too far into the game, and because sometimes people can just do that little bit too much in the early rounds. So it's about measuring your efforts as well and just making sure you've got something left in the tank for those later races.
And not get caught out by the sunshine that's out there. I mean, it's hot, it's sunny, it's blazing. I mean, there's 189 hours of sunshine a month in Santiago del Estero on average in September. But if you're out there, you think, it's not too bad, I can just hide in the shade. You're going to dehydrate, your performance is going to drop, your mental skills are going to drop, and it's so easy to get caught out. And once you might be the world's best BMX racer and on the World Cup circuit, still we see riders getting caught out by making little mistakes.
Yeah, sometimes it can just be like the timing of when you take the fluids on board and that kind of stuff, and those little kind of discrepancies can make a difference. But the majority of the riders here, they know what they're doing, they've done it many times before, and they're pretty much sorted. But mistakes can happen, but when the racing starts, it's just going to get even hotter.
It certainly is. So our rudder's been pulled in to the gate. It's time to go racing here in Santiago del Estero. So here in Santiago del Estero for the UCI BMX Racing World Cup round number 5 of 6. We're going to kick off the racing with the men's under 23 eighth finals. We're going to run our way right the way through, and we have got the series leader here, a man who's only been beaten into second place once. He's won all the rest, Jason Noordam.
Yep, Jason Noordam of the Netherlands, the European champion on the inside. He'll be looking to wrap up the title here in Santiago del Estero and be the World Cup champion as well. All right, gate drops on the first of the 8 finals for the men under 23, and it is Jason Noordam, the European champion, on the inside. Where is Jonas Idskov of Denmark? He's in there in 4, just working his way underneath of the Argentinian rider Joachim Salom, who's been shuffled back just one spot, but it's Noordam and Jacquet. Jacquet, the former European champion, there in that second spot. The Danish rider in there in 3. The rider in 5 is Jakob Kaiser of Canada. He's on the outside looking in at the minute. He might have just left himself that bit too much to do as they come down the final straight, but there's no doubt who's going to pick up the win in this 8th final. Jason Noordam of the Netherlands, Matthijs Jacquet in 2, Idskov in 3, Salom in 4, but Noordam looking very, very good already.
Jason Noordam there hit the floor and came off his gate time 2.394 seconds. He set that foundation really from that start right the way in through those turns. Top 4 riders go through from our 8th finals. The rest of the riders then get to enjoy some of the racing, maybe not quite where they would want to be. Let's take a little bit of a look back. Great start by Noordam.
Yeah, Noordam there on the inside, right where you needed to be, and he'd already got himself half a bike length out in front before they got to the bottom of the hill. He had Matthijs Jacquet right there with him, and the Argentinian rider Salom was looking good as they went into that first turn. He had a move put on him by Jonas Idskov, who we can see there in the middle of the shot as they came towards turn number 2. He shuffled himself up into that 3rd position, the Argentinian inside the top 4. That's where you need to be, and he's through to the next round.
So 4 riders through: Noordam, Jacquet, Idskov and Salom. There are your first 4 riders to move through from the 8th finals. We're going to move on to the second of our 8th finals here, and James Cutter-Williams really the pick of the riders here, wouldn't you say, Rich?
Yeah, absolutely. James Cutter-Williams of the USA in there in gate number 1, as we just have a quick look at the confirmed result for the 8th final heat number 1, with Jason Noordam taking the win, but James Cutter-Williams got his work cut out with the South American posse in heat number 2. So the gate drops on the second of these 1/8 finals. Cutter-Williams not quite getting himself out in front as they go towards that first turn, but he's making that inside line pay, and he's picking up the whole shot in there in 1. He's got Arango Patina in there as well, and De La Vega chasing him down. Duran Manzano also in the mix as well with Sebastian Aguilera, and he's in that 4th spot at the minute, but it's James Cutter-Williams of the USA leading it into the final corner. The Colombian rider chasing him down. There's just 1 rider from the USA, 7 South Americans taking it to the line. Cutter-Williams takes the win. Arango Patino in 2, De La Vega in 3, Aguilera in 4.
Well, 4 more riders join the original 4. 8 of our riders in through onto the next round. James Cutter-Williams' time there, interestingly, just a fraction slower to the gate than the time of the 2nd place rider in heat number 1 there. He just didn't quite get that same start, but just didn't panic. Pushed his way through, got himself into position, and then no looking back. Didn't need to worry really once he was up on the front.
No, once you got that inside line into turn number 1, picked up that whole shot, it was business as usual for James Cutter-Williams of the USA, taking it across the line and making it into the quarterfinals.
So let's get those confirmed results. Cutter-Williams, Arango Patina, Elise de la Vega, along with Aguilera Cid, the riders who go through are riders from Chile, Ecuador, Colombia and the United States of America. Our 4 riders qualifying from the 2nd of our heats. As waiting up on the hill, it's heat number 3, and Melina definitely one to watch here. Yeah,
one to watch, and we've got Alexander Kantsev as well. Kazantsev, he's the neutral athlete in there in gate number 2, and right out on the outside we've got Jeremias Villalba.
So our riders lined up and waiting, ready to go up at the top of our start ramp. This is the 3rd of our 8th finals heats. They're going to be hitting the slope, seeing which 4 riders can make their way through and go through onwards into our quarterfinals here at round number 5 of the UCI BMX Racing World Cup.
So no less than 3 riders from Argentina in this third heat. The crowd will be going wild, willing their compatriots on as they go into the turn, and in and out we go. It looks like Molina of Argentina's in there in that sort of 3rd or 4th spot. It's a Santiago Santa Moreno, who's leading it into turn number 2. The Argentinians all famed for their turn antics and being able to make those moves in the corners. Alexander Kazantsev, the neutral athlete, he's there in that 3rd spot, just being swooped in that final turn. Looks like Santiago Santa Moreno's going to bring it home. He's in there in the front, taking the win. Molina in 2, Kazantsev in 3. Villalba in there in 4 from the outside, and made use of that space as he left the gate.
Just a little bit more room there, just the room to manoeuvre. Really does make such a difference.
Yeah, it certainly does. He had plenty of room there on the outside, could just take his time, work out how he's going to get himself across down that first straight as we looked at Santiago Santa Moreno and Alexander Kazantsev. The neutral rider in that all-white jersey, he dived underneath in that first turn, worked himself into that 2nd spot, got past in one of the turns. Meanwhile, Santiago Santa Moreno went across that finish line, took the win in heat number 3, and he'll be making his way through to the quarterfinals. As we check out the confirmed results, Santiago Santa Moreno going through to the quarterfinals with Molina, Kazantsev and Villalba all making their way through. Diaz going out along with Alvarez. Next up, heat number 4. This one features Marcus Leth of Denmark. Dylan Tremmel representing Canada, and Argentina have got Marco Cardoso out in gate number 5. He'll be looking to give the home fans what they're looking for, which is a local winner. Lucas Zimmerman of Brazil on the inside next to Marcus Leth, and Aguilera of Chile, he's in gate number 3. Gate drops. I've got my eye on Marcus Leth of Denmark. Just had the World Championships in his home country in Copenhagen. Was unfortunate enough to come 5th in the semi-final at the World Championships, but he's out in front here in the quarterfinals at the World Cup in Santiago del Estero, Argentina. Looks like the rider from Canada making some moves. That's going to be Dylan Tremmel. He's worked his way into a top 4 position. The Chilean rider Aguilera trying to get in there as well. Oh, Zimmerman's gone down in that final turn. He slid out. Marcus Leth is out in front. He's got it all his own way. Tremmel's going to take that 2nd spot. Ordonez Lopez in 3, Cardoso in 4. Zimmerman was lucky good till he got that to the final turn. I've got a feeling the back wheel just got away from him and he slid out. No such problems for Marcus Leth. He makes it through in heat number 4.
Well, Marcus Leth absolutely flying, and a rider who's got the possibility of 2nd place overall after the end of both round 5 and round 6 if it all goes his way. And he's going the right way about it, really pushing on and through there.
Yes, certainly putting a great first straight in, bringing that form that he had in the World Championships in Copenhagen as he crossed that line. A good 7 or 8 bike lengths ahead of Dylan Tremmel from Canada. Aguilera just throwing his head back. He knows he let an opportunity slip away. But Marcus Leth taking the win in heat number 4. Heat 5 on the gate. Federico Capello in this one for Argentina in gate number 1. And Valentino Vallejo, his compatriot, in gate number 4 on that 5.52 plate. 2 riders more than capable of making World Championship finals, as Capello did as a junior in Glasgow in 2023. Heat 5 leaves the gate. Capello on the inside. Dodona's in there as well. They're looking very good as they head towards that first turn. Oh, one rider's gone down, two riders down in turn number one. So it's all to play for as they go down towards turn number two. But Argentina are leading this one out. That looks like the Colombian rider in there in three. I've got a feeling that's Parmesano who's in that third spot. But Argentina looking very, very good. Federico Capello is going to bring it down towards the line with his compatriots. As they bring it to the stripe, Argentina going 1 and 2. Capello, Vallejo, Parmesano in that third spot. Marulanda Gill rounding out the top four, but there was all action in turn number one with riders hitting the tarmac.
Well, another incident on the course, another rider not having a great day, and it's all part of BMX racing.
Yep, certainly things can change in an instant, as it did for Luca Grigoletto of Brazil in that first turn. He got tangled up with Giordani Dodona, I think it was, and both riders hitting the dirt, or hitting the tarmac, I should say, in that first corner. As we just have a quick look at the replay, couldn't quite catch what happened in that particular situation. I've got a feeling there was just a touch of elbows. Both riders going down. That's the end of their World Cup here for this particular round in Santiago del Estero. They're going to have to come round and have another go in round number 6. Meanwhile, Federico Capello was taking the win in heat number 5. Heat 6 lining up on the gate. Thomas Materano, former Junior Men World Champion, and the current Junior Men World Champion Evan Oliveira in there as well. As we look at the confirmed result, Capello, Vallejo, Parmesano all going through, 1, 2 and 3. Marulanda in 4. Alexander ML is in this one as well.
Okay.
He was World 6 in 2023 in that Junior Men category.
Riders ready, watch the gate.
Last of the 1-8 finals for the men under 23. Looks like Thomas Materano is going to lead it into the turn, being pursued by Evan Oliveira. That looks like Kaiser out of Canada in there in that third spot, but he's under serious pressure from the Argentinian. Oh, and Alexander Amel's dived underneath as well, so it's cost Kaiser 2 spots. That looks like the end of his 8th final here in round number 5 at Santiago del Estero. But as they come out of the final corner, it's going to be Thomas Materano. The home fans are going absolutely wild. Evan Oliveira in 2, Sergeas in 3, Alexander Emel in 4, but Zachary Kaiser, he'll rue the line he took in that second turn.
And just almost left the door open and just drifted wide. In came one, in came another. Thank you very much. We're on our way through, and there was nothing you could do about it. Almost went off track. Good recovery, but it's race over.
Yeah, he'll have to take some time to review that with his coaches after round number 5, make some adjustments for round 6.
So 2 rounds are coming in quick succession to finish off the World Cup for this season. And you can just see here, 1 dives under, 2 dives under, up he goes, over the white line, out the track, back in again. It just cost him so much there. And is that rider error? Is it just a split second inattention? What causes that?
It can just be a split second inattention. He's just picking the wrong line into the turn. He'll learn from that one. He'll come back for round number 6, and I'm sure he'll make good on that one. But yeah, a lesson in race management there for Zachary Kaiser.
And it could be something as little as just that bike not quite feeling right in that fraction of a second. It could be just seeing something out the corner of your eye, just that little thing that puts you off. Let's see how that translates. Well, on your screens, your 4 riders going through: Materano, Oliveira, along with Sejas and Emel there, the riders through. Kaiser, along with Chaparro Heredia, the riders not making it in through from our men's 8th finals and not moving on and through. Fast racing, Rich. Some interesting some interesting mistakes on the way in. So there's been some real riders coming in and just clipping wheels, and that's just enough, isn't it? It's almost like we've not raced here for a little while, and a lot of riders take a little bit of time just to get used to how it rolls. Yeah,
it's certainly a fast track here at Santiago del Estero, and it can probably catch you out a little bit if you go into the turns and the rider in front of you just isn't quite where you're expecting to be. There's an element of trust as well when you're racing at this level. You've got to kind of trust that the guy in front of you is going to make the move you think he's going to make, and if he doesn't, and sometimes there's just that touch of wheels, it slows you up that little bit, but that's just World Cup racing. Certainly something to keep an eye on for the future.
And it's one of those, you've got to, if you don't anticipate somebody's move, you leave the door open because you've that fraction of a second. You know, the differences are minimal between these riders as they go down the course. You know, we're talking, you know, hundredths of a second can be the difference between winning and losing. It can be the difference between being at the front of the back in one turn, and that's so critical to almost know how your competition is going to race. And with such a large number of riders that are maybe not so regular on the scene here in Santiago del Estero, that does add a little bit of spice into the mix, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It gives you that unknown, because if you get on a gate and you're used to racing World Cups and you haven't raced a particular rider before, you don't have an idea of what they're going to do, how they might react in a turn, what their first straight's like. So there's a lot of unknowns, and not only are there those unknowns, you're making decisions based on those unknowns in a split second. It's just the recipe for action, but it's the kind of action we want to see as BMX fans.
Well, it looks like a little bit of reviewing already going on at the moment as these riders go in through. You can just see the phone there just doing a little bit of a replay as the riders continue to warm up down here. And this warm-up area, it's such... It's almost like being down, I don't want to say family picnic, it's more like family party somewhere, and yet it's deadly serious as well. There's this real contrast. Everybody's friendly, but everyone absolutely knows that they've got one job to do there. Whether they're a soigneur, a mechanic, whether they're a team manager, whether they're a rider, they've got their job to do. They're going to get on with that. Doesn't mean they won't smile at people sometimes, but and particularly when they're in between in a break in the racing. But it's a real contrast at times.
Yeah, it's the beauty of BMX racing at the World Cup level. You know, it's such a small kind of community, and everybody tends to get along off the track. You know, we see everybody taking the time and putting the work in kind of between races, taking that hydration on board. Everyone's, you know, warming up, cooling down, keeping the lactic acid out of the legs by spinning and that kind of stuff. And, you know, it's business at that point, but as soon as the race is over, people generally get on. You know, they'll share a meal in the evening, they'll have a conversation, and that's the beauty of BMX, the community, the spirit, but also the competition.
And that's true whether, I know you were on the mic at Cyclo Park for the BMX National Champs. It was very much the same atmosphere, isn't it? You know, there's hundreds and hundreds of people there. It could be a local track, it could be a champs, it could be all sorts of those things. But everybody's taking on the same track. They're taking on the same race route, you know, and you've got that common goal: get round as fast as you can. Yeah,
and you can see the riders there, you know, all smiles, all, you know, discussing the laps and that kind of thing. But as soon as the gate goes back up and they're on there, it's business again.
Well, let's take a look at the track here at Santiago del Estero.
Vamos a hacer el preview de la pista. Here we are on the 8-meter hill. You can see you have the global view of the track. You can see how they fit big track on a kind of a small space of land. Then you have the big hill to start, around 60k an hour down there before that first jump. The first jump is key. You don't want to go that low, because if you case it, you lose all the drive. Get on that first turn on the inside if you can. Out of the first turn, you come up very quick into this steep lip. It's one of the steepest concrete lips, I believe, in BMX for a second straight. So it definitely requires a lot of control for you to get that backside. So we're here on the second straight for the women's side. Very interesting second straight. The second jump on this straight is very challenging. And if you case this jump, all the flow is lost. And here we have the men's side for the second straight. Look at this lip, look how big it is. Very tall lip, and you got to control your bike very much. And look at the brakes, the brake marks we have here, because once you carry all this speed, sometimes you got to tap on these brakes. Man, it's impressive to look at it from here, and you can see why it's so hard, eh? So here we have the third jump for the men's pro side, and it's very interesting to see a step down. Then as well, you get into the second turn, any lines available. You can go inside, you can go through the middle, through the outside. So here we are onto the third straight for the men's side. You come out of the second straight very quick, and then you have these 3 gaps, and you got to be very precise on them. You got to be very precise on this landing. But yeah, these 3 gaps are going to be key for the race. You can see here how the future of the BMX in Argentina is working. We have a 1-year-old probably riding the track already, so Yeah, it's very nice to have fun and look at all these kids ride. Here we have the last straight. As you can see, this table tour is very high. As you see, the finish line is right there, but you got to get this first jump well done first, and yeah, it's definitely a key factor to race. Gracias a todos por mirar, la verdad que estamos muy contentos de tener la Copa del Mundo en Argentina de vuelta. Vamos a Argentina.
Oh, so much there to unpack in there, Rich, and there's a few real key things in there, and we're going to see, I think, some examples of the riders out on track. A couple of things really come to mind instantly. You can't tell the scale till you see a rider stood next to the ramps. They are so big, and when they go up over the top, it's, you know, that scale of it is immense. A step down in here as well being unusual, and for people who don't know what step down is, explain a step down.
It's like it drops 2 levels before you get to ground level, so that's kind of the basics. A bit like a stir, but it just takes a lot of time for you to just get used to it and be able to get it at speed.
So here we go, it's time to hit our quarterfinals. First of our quarterfinal riders lining up at the top of the hill here in Santiago del Estero, this immense track that's seen round 5 of the UCI BMX Racing World Cup here today. You can see your riders lined up and ready to go. And Rich, this is going to be very interesting. Marcus Dyer on some great form.
Yeah, Magnus Dyer on some great form.
Magnus. My apologies, Marcus Magnus.
Yep, let's see what he's got in this quarterfinal. So the gate drops on the first of the quarterfinals, and we do have Magnus Dyer of Denmark, world number 6. Look at the speed he's got as he heads into that first turn. He's been absolutely on fire as we've gone through from the World Championships, just working his way into that second position because the Argentinian out in front, I've got a feeling that's Gonzalo Molina, who took the win here in 2019. So Molina, Dyer, Greenoff, Schmidt, that is your 1, 2, 3 and 4. Rain Langford trying to get in there as well for the USA. Oh, as they go up the turn, I think he's gone over the top, but it's Molina going to bring it to the line. Molina and Dyer are going to go 1 and 2. Julian Schmidt of Germany in 3, Bennett Greenoff of New Zealand in 4. It was all action in the final turn. Rain Langford going over the top with Renaud Blanc of Switzerland.
Well, all drama yet again here at the track in Santiago del Estero. No doubting our race winner, though, Gonzalez Molina of Argentina coming in. Yet again, incidents rather than necessarily just pure speed.
Yeah, gets really tight as they come into that first turn. Magnus Dyer had an absolutely superb first straight. The form he's been in since the World Championships in Copenhagen, and I think there's an element of belief that's come through as well. He believes he can be right up there at the World Cup level, and once that genie's out of the bottle, it's very hard to get it back in again. Meanwhile, Molina crossing that line out in front, but it was Rain Langford and Renaud Blanc who went over that final turn.
So we'll get our qualifiers coming in. It is Molina, Dyer, Schmidt and Greenhoff, the commissaire team, the race referees, making sure they're all happy with that racing and the results before their release. So Molina, Dyer, Schmidt and Greenhoff going through Sardak, Copper, Langford and Blanc. Their racing, well, it ends here as we move on to heat number 2. I'm going to be very interested to see what Rico Bierman could do in this round.
Yeah, Rico Bierman had a couple of wins here in 2023 as an under-23 rider. We need to see if he can repeat that here in 2025, but it's a whole different kettle of fish when you're in the elite men category. Second of the quarterfinals here, Santiago del Estero, round number 5 of the 2025 UCI BMX Racing World Cup. It looks like the local rider out in front. That's going to be Federico Villegas leading it down towards the turn. And in there as well is Nicolas Torres. So the Argentinian riders are going 1, 2 and 3. Rico Bierman there inside the top 4, but coming under some pressure as they come down towards the final corner. but it's Argentina in control in the second of the quarterfinals. They're going to go 1, 2 and 3. Rico Biermann's going to make it through in that fourth spot. Torres, Villegas, De La Fuente, Biermann all making it in. Asuma Nakai of Japan out in 7, but certainly fist bumps all around for the riders from Argentina.
And at one stage you could just see Rico Biermann really having to fight off the hordes around him there. And for the rider who's in the 8th place overall in the series, this is really critical because he is mathematically in with the chance of taking away the win. But Biermann, you could just see the squeeze came on in a couple of positions, and then he did a really lovely move and he squeezed out the rider who came up on the inside, and he moved himself across the track position and said, "No, I don't think you're coming through, thank you very much." And he moved himself just into that fourth spot and just didn't let anyone in.
Yeah, certainly the Argentinians were out in front. Rico Biermann did exactly what he needed to do just to hold himself in a top 4 position, make it round to the next round of racing. And that's all he needs to do, just be inside the top 4. Torres, Villegas, De La Fuente, Rico Biermann going through. And an early bath for Theo Tuan, Asuma Nakai, Nikita Ermakov and Martin Burghardt.
So we now have 8 riders that have qualified to move on from our quarterfinals into our semi-finals. Who's going to move on here? One rider who'll be looking to really nail it here today, Sylvain Andre, our series leader in the World Cup. It's a track with some serious memories for him now.
Yep, Sylvain Andre took a big crash here in 2023. Put him out for a while. He'll be looking to put those demons out to pasture here in round number 5 of the World Cup. Cameron Wood of the USA took a win here in round 9 in 2023, so he knows what it's like to be on the top of the podium here in Santiago del Estero, and he'll be looking to repeat that process here in round number 5 of the 2025 World Cup. Gate drops, 8 riders leaving the gate in quarterfinal number 3. It's already getting tight as they come down the straight. Sylvain Andre just working his way into a top 3 position, but it's Cameron Wood picking up the whole shot. Wood in there in 1. That looks like Simon Marquardt, I think, in there in 2. Sylvain Andre in 3. Who's got that 4th spot at the minute? Looks like the rider out of Chile. That's going to be Maurizio Molina Vergara in that 4th spot. Has he got pressure coming from the back of him? It looks like the Argentinian rider's in there in 5, but he's going to run out of time and room. Cameron Wood of the USA bringing it to the line. Did Sylvain Andre steal it at the stripe? He may have done. It's a photo finish. Vergara in 4, Katana in 5, but Cameron Wood a very solid lap after the disappointment that he had at the World Championships.
And Wood really was on a roll when we came to the end of rounds 3 and 4 of the World Cup, taking a 4th place in round 3, a 2nd place in his first podium of the season in the World Cup at round number 4, and clearly looking like he's continuing in that vein after the World Championships.
Yeah, Cameron Wood, he's put some solid laps in as well in the USA BMX Pro Series. He's the reigning USA BMX Pro Series champion, so he's got the speed. He took the win in the quarterfinal. Got a feeling Sylvain Andre might have just nicked it at the stripe from Simon Marquardt. We'll wait for timing and scoring, but certainly a solid lap from Cameron Wood of the USA. There is your confirmed result. Vergara rounding out the top 4, so Andre just missing out on that 2nd place to Simon Marquardt. Cameron Wood taking the win. They're all in the semi-finals. We go to the last of the quarterfinals, featuring the new world champion, Arthur Pillard. So Pillard in there in gate number 1. Eddie Clerté also made the podium at the World Championships, world number 3. He's in there in gate 2. Loris Eberhard in gate 3, he's made a World Cup final this year already. And the European champion, Mathis Rago-Richard. So certainly some skills, some talent, some speed, and some titles lined up in this one.
Not the easiest.
Absolutely
of our quarterfinals, not even close. It's going to be a real tough one to come through from. Who's going to take that away? Well, it's time to see if those rainbow stripes are going to bring some good luck to Arthur Pillard. Time to go racing here in our final quarterfinal in the men's elite.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
Last of the quarterfinals of the elite men heading down the hill. I've got my eye on Drew Polk of the USA, because if there's a rider who knows how to make moves in turns, it's Drew Polk, and he's going to need all his skills, I think, in this quarterfinal, because he's towards the back of the pack. He's in there in 6th at the moment. Can he make moves in these turns and work his way in? There's one. He's up into the 5th spot. Drew Polk of the USA, has he got what it takes to catch Loris Eberhard as they go towards the final turn? Looks like he's left himself too much to do. Arthur Pilard's going to take it to the line. Pilard, Clerté going 1 and 2. Rago Richard in 3. Eberhard hangs on for the 4. Drew Polk will be disappointed with the 5, but he did everything he could to make it in. It didn't quite pay off.
Just couldn't quite get across on that line, ended up being pushed wide. Just too much work to do. No problems though for the world champion. Those rainbow bands on his jersey are awarded across all of the UCI disciplines, all of the cycle sport disciplines covered by the Union Cycliste International. It's great to see him in action and on winning form.
Yeah, very much on winning form. Arthur Pilar, he's been European champion twice, took that world championship to the delight of his fans in Copenhagen. Mathis Rago Richard, the current European champion, working his way in. Eddie Clerté, world number 3 and newly crowned world pump track champion, in that 2nd spot. Drew Polk did everything he possibly could. He made a great move in turn number 2. He just left himself too much to do chasing Loris Eberhard for that final spot. Pilar and Clerté going 1 and 2. Rago Richard in 3. Loris Eberhard in 4. Arthur Pilar's just few discussions there with his coach, bit of water on board.
It's kind of what more do you want me to do? I want it.
Yep, absolutely. And there is your confirmed result.
Eberhard,
Rago Richard, Clerté, Pilar, all making it through. Drew Polk, he'll go away, work out what he needs to do in round number 6, and he'll come back on day 2 here at Santiago del Estero.
Less than a 1/10 of a second difference in time between every single one of those heats.
Wow.
In that is how close the racing is. Right, next riders up on the top of the hill. Jason Nordam, under 23 men's elite series leader, looking to take away another win here today and really cement that win. He's up at the top. He can't be touched for the top spot, with Joshua Jolly not being here, who's in 2nd place, and Alexis Pikanowski also not being here. It does mean it's Nordam's title, but he will want to go out on a win. He'll want to reinforce that position and, of course, improve his standing.
We are go with the quarterfinals. Men under 23, Jason Nordam and Federico Capello heading down towards turn number 1. We've got Alexander Kazantsev, the neutral athlete, working his way into that 2nd spot, but Nordam already 2 bike lengths in front as they go down towards turn number 2. Who's trying to make moves? The Swiss rider getting involved. That's Alexander Emmel. He's there in that 4th spot, but under serious pressure from the Argentinian rider behind him. So Nordam, Kazantsev, they're going to go 1 and 2. I've got a feeling Capello's going to pick up the 3. Is Emmel going to hang on for the 4? I think he will. Alexander Emmel takes the 4. Vallejo of Argentina out in 5. But a great lap from Nordam and a great lap from Alexander Kazantsev as well.
Well, Nordam going out of the gate, not the fastest down on that start, but quickly picked up the pace once again. Let's take another look back at that. Didn't maybe get the fastest start, but you could just see this drive through down the straight, just so effective.
Yeah, I remember that Jason Nordam said at one of the early rounds in the season, he said he put a lot of time in the gym over the winter building that engine, and he certainly made it pay there, with the strength into turn number 1, held off the riders to take that whole shot. But you need more than strength, you need skills, you need speed, and you need track craft, and he's got it all.
Oh, Jason Nordam along with Kazantsev, Capello and Emmel, the riders who are going in through. They're the riders who will move from our quarterfinals into our semi-finals. That's the first of those quarterfinals. Then we move on to the 2nd of the quarterfinals here with Maturano on the inside in gate number 1.
Yeah, Thomas Maturano. He's had a world championship title in Glasgow in 2023. But he's got to bring his A game to the men under 23 category. He's got Jonas Itzkov to deal with. And Marco Cardozo, his compatriot, out in gate number 6. But certainly keep your eye on gate 1 in this quarterfinal. Thomas Maturano. He's got those typical South American speed and skills.
Okay.
So the second of the quarterfinals, and it is Thomas Materano, absolutely shot out of the cannon into turn number one. He's absolutely flying. Sabalos into Itskov of Denmark in there in three, and that looks like Jesus Cesar Santiago in there in that fourth spot. Yes, Cesar in that fourth position. As they head down towards the final corner, he's worked himself up into three, and that puts Jonas Itskov in there in that fourth spot. So the Danish rider is going to go through, but Thomas Materano, from the split second that the gate dropped, he was out, he was gone, and he's in absolutely superb form just when it matters.
Well, Materano, one of those riders who could really score today, currently 19th in the series standings, but he has the potential. If he takes 2 wins, and that's not out of the question, he could move himself right up into second place overall. A humongous jump right the way through the standings. He's tied down this start, incredible. It's 2.366, and by my reckoning, I think that's the fastest time on the start so far.
Yeah, he had half a bike length on Jonas Itskov as they got to the bottom of the hill, so certainly his start was absolutely superb. Itskov was in there in that third spot. He just got passed by Cesas as well, but he was inside the top 4, which is exactly where you need to be in a quarter-final. He's going to make it through to the semis, but certainly Thomas Materano, he's fired up. He wants to give the fans here in Santiago del Estero what they came for, and you could see the enthusiasm as he crossed the line, took that win. He'll be feeling good going into the semi-final stage.
Well, high fives all around for the home riders here in Argentina. Santiago del Estero, round 5 of the UCI BMX Racing World Cup, with Materano confirmed on your screens as we move quickly across on to the next of our 4 quarterfinals. This is number 3, and that will be seeing who can progress through from here into our semi-finals.
Yep, you've got your junior men world champion, Evan Oliveira, picked up that title in Copenhagen just a few short weeks ago. He's in gate number 1. So certainly getting himself some experience in this under-23 category. He put a superb race together in Copenhagen. But he's got James Cutter-Williams of the USA right there next to him. Certainly Williams no slouch. And every time he puts that USA jersey on, he's got the American pride, and he wants to do the American BMX community proud.
Okay. Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
So the 2025 Junior Men World Champion testing his mettle with the riders in the under-23 category. One rider's already got down on that first turn, but Evan Oliveira out in front looking absolutely superb at the moment. That is James Cutter-Williams in there in that second spot. Who's got the 3? Just trying to pick it up. It's Lopez, followed by Villalba. But Evan Oliveira looking absolutely superb as they come out of that final turn. The Junior Men World Champion in 2025. He's going to win this quarterfinal here at round number 5 of the Santiago del Estero World Cup in Argentina. Evan Oliveira certainly making a statement, moving from junior men to under 23, and that is the kind of laps you want to be putting together.
It certainly is another great start, 2.375, so not quite as quick as Materano's, but still a fast start, a quick charge down, and he opened up a gap there, and that jump from junior to under 23 is a big jump, and just no problems, just unfazed by that at all.
Yeah, he didn't look like he had any problems whatsoever. He knew exactly what he needed to do as he went down towards that first turn as Joaquim Salem of Argentina hit the deck. But Evan Oliveira, and this is the ideal situation as well, because you know the numbers are slightly down. He can just get himself in there, test his mettle against these under 23 riders, and with performances like that, Evan Oliveira's confidence will be building race by race. Really can't wait to see what he's got as he kind of gets further into the under 23 World Cup scene.
Well, Cinderella's shoe is definitely not on his foot there. It is on the bike. He's going to say thanks to the crowd, but it is day done for Joaquim Salem here in Santiago del Estero. You can see our qualifiers, Oliveira, Cutter-Williams going through, along with Ordonez, Lopez and Villalba. There's the riders through from the penultimate of our quarterfinals, who's going to be going through from the very last of the quarterfinals in our men's under 23 competition.
Yep, Marcus Leth of Denmark on the inside there, running the 502 plates. Looking focused. We've got former European champion Matisse Jacquet on the 501 out of France. Dylan Tremmell of Canada on the outside, gate number 6. And Santiago Santamarino already won a lap here at Santiago del Estero. So he'll be looking to carry on that form and take himself into the semi-finals.
Okay, riders, random start. Riders ready, watch the gate.
Last of the quarterfinals is go for men under 23. Left spin shuffle back on the inside. Didn't get the start that he needed, but look at Santiago Santamarino picking up where he left off in the last lap. Looking very good and comfortable. Here comes Matisse Jacquet working his way into that third spot. Left's up into 4 now, so he's back to where he needs to be as they go down towards the final corner. Looks like Sebastian Aguilera of Chile, getting all mixed up. He's dived underneath and stolen a position away. So the Chilean rider's worked his way into 3. Left's going to hang on for the 4. No problems for Matisse Jacquet taking the win. Moreno in 2. All got mixed up in the final corner. And Aguilera made the most of it.
Wow, what a move that being made there by Matisse Jacquet, the rider currently 4th in the series standings overall, should be shown into 2nd place. He's certainly making sure of that. That was a serious move where he came through. He moved his way up into 3, accelerated down the straight, and then, thank you, I'm coming in here, and it just left, riders just being skittled across the track behind.
Yeah, Marcus Left certainly didn't get the start that he needed. He was on the inside, managed to work his way into 4, but Santiago Santamarino looked absolutely superb going down those first 2 straights. Matisse Jacquet in there in that 3rd spot, started to make his move down that straight, took advantage of the confusion in that final corner, took the win in the quarter. The crowd going absolutely wild for the riders. But certainly all action. And then Marcus Left getting through Dylan Tremmell. Unfortunately out in that 6th spot. Patino out in 5. So it's Left, Aguilera, Santamarino and Jacquet all going through to the semi-finals of men under 23 here in Santiago del Estero.
So the final 4 riders on your screens join the rest of those riders we've just seen in action in moving on at this stage of the competition. The men's under 23 quarterfinals done, dusted. The men's elite quarterfinals done and dusted as well. Some fantastic race action. Some great riders going through. 1 or 2 riders going to be disappointed. Dylan Tremmell's going to be one of those. A number of riders on the floor, but they do have the chance to pick themselves back up again. Well, let's take a look at some of the best action so far. Some great action here, Rich. It really has been a thrilling round. It's been some thrilling racing so far. I've got to say, the track, as ever, it's sunny, it's great weather to race in. The riders can really show what they've got, and we've seen that, and we've seen some really bold moves being made on the way through. A great look at that track earlier on, showing the importance of getting the landings right and the precision as well. And we've been seeing some precision in that racing too. Some real placement of where you want to be is being so critical.
Yeah, the track here at Santiago del Estero, as well as being visually stunning, it's a great track to race on. You've got not a huge amount of time to make those moves in those corners. Alpha Pilar just having a discussion there, working out what to do the next time around. But certainly the action hot as the temperatures here in Argentina. Moves being made in the corners, keeping those fans engaged. There's so much going on in such a short space of time. But it's certainly the action that the World Cup BMX Racing Series is famous for.
So some amazing action, some amazing racing, and it means that we're going to set ourselves up very nicely indeed for more racing to come very shortly indeed. Remember, we'll be moving through in the under 23 and in that elite competition in the men's and in the women's racing, and that is going to be coming up with you very shortly. The crowd will be taking a little bit of a break, keeping out of the sun, making sure that they get themselves well and truly rehydrated and ready to watch the rest of the action. It's a track that promises much. It's delivered so far. We expect it to deliver even more later on. So from here in Santiago del Estero, up in the north of Argentina, we're going to take a quick break. We will be back with you, so make sure you join us for the rest of round 5 of the UCI BMX Racing World Cup.